Let's talk a little bit about what's called an Ssl certificate. We have these protocols, right? This HTTPS, and they use something called an Ssl certificate. And you can see here, Dixie has one that's valid. And when I click on it, you can see when it's going to expire, who issued it, what it's for, different details, part of that certificate, and different stuff, okay? And these are what allow us to exchange data across the web securely, and so people can't kind of snoop on what we're doing. So this is important. So we buy these Ssl Certs. This is some that GoDaddy sells, and you can see here if we want to protect our website and have a HTTPS and install the certificate on our server, it's going to be $63, $64 essentially a year. And there's different levels. We can have multiple websites or all subdomains or a managed SSL cert and different things that they have. Okay. Now, when we're sending data back and forth between our website or our computers and their website, I want you to think of it like this. Okay. So let's say we're sending an email, and I want my email to be secure and not be, taken by anybody else between, myself and whoever I'm sending it to. Because this data, let's say you're on a Wi-Fi connection, other people could be, on the same Wi-Fi and capture those packets and read your emails. If there was a node or a computer in between the two and they were capturing certain data, they could see what you were doing. And so we want that to be secure. And so the first way is called symmetric, a symmetric SSL certificate, or symmetric key encryption is what I should have said. And what that does is I will take a key or a password, almost you want to think of it as, and I want to encrypt my email, and I'll send it to a friend, and I will somehow communicate to him that key to decrypt it so he can read it, right? It's a secret message that we're sending across, and he's going to decrypt it. But you might question, how do I get that key or that password or that way to decrypt it to him? Because someone could intercept that as well. And so symmetric key encryption can be problematic for that reason. And so we have something else called asymmetric encryption. And this is a little bit different, okay? And so first off, I want you to think of the example as I have a mailbox and I want people to send me mail, and so I'm going to publish my address publicly to everybody. Okay, so I want you to recognize that word public. All right, you can kind of see I got some public and private keys on there, and anybody can send me mail and put it in, but I can only open my mailbox with a private key. So anybody can send it to me, but only I can open it and read the mail themselves. Okay. And that's a simplified example of kind of what we're going to talk about with asymmetric. The way this looks is everybody has a private and public key. And I'm going to publish my public key. And, like we were looking here earlier with this certificate, anybody can see the certificate and see what it is and see its details. And when I visit this web page, my browser will look at the certificate, and it has details built in with these keys that can be used to encrypt data. And so what's going to happen here, as you can see, is Alice is going to take an email, some plain text, and encrypt that using the public key from Bob. And this public key, all it can do is encrypt. It cannot decrypt. It can't do anything other than encrypt. And she will then send that message over to Bob, and Bob will get it, and using the private key, he can open it up. Now, something that's kind of interesting on here is the private key cannot be derived from the public key. The public key is something that's normally this big, long chain of characters and things that you use to encrypt stuff. We look at Rsa Encryption is what it's called. But we'll do that. And then if Bob wants to turn around and send something back to Alice, he will go look at Alice's public key, encrypt a message, send it over to Alice, and Alice can open it with her private key. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to send the key back and forth, because certain keys only do certain things. So public can encrypt things and your private can decrypt things. And this is really how a big chunk of the web works. When you visit the web today, websites all use, for the most part, HTTPS nowadays, right? You don't rank very well in search engines if you don't. Bitcoin, for example, if you want to encrypt your money wallet or things like that, they're going to use this type of asymmetric encryption. Emails use asymmetric encryption. There's lots of different things that use this, and it just helps keep our web a little bit, keeps that privacy. One problem that we see that's coming up is quantum computing, and quantum computing basically takes all encryption and throws it out the door. Right now, I think the last I heard it was up to like 52 qubits. If you want to look into that, it's super cool. But it's a way of looking and changing how computing works, and the amount of time it would take to decrypt out one of these keys is seconds, when with conventional computing would take literally millenniums to decrypt something like that out. So we'll see how that goes down the road, 20 years from now, if all of our encryption goes out the door. But for now, we can encrypt our emails and send them back and forth and make sure all of our data is secure.